Land ziehen wir durch Stein und Sand, fern von zu Haus und vogelfrei. 100 Mann und ich bin dabei. 100 Mann und ein Befehl und ein Weg.
And it is the Desert Fox signing on. And, well, before the video starts, I'd like to say, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share this video with your friends and family to make sure that we get the highest spot on YouTube possible. Now let's get on to the video. Now real quick, I'd like to say I am very sorry on the last Hunter Biden Most Corrupt Politicians Series 2 video for acting a little stupid. I just thought it'd be kind of fun, and it ended up not being so fun, and ended up costing me a subscriber and a dislike. So, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but, I thought that would just be funny. Now, I stand by Hunter Biden as a cracked out weirdo, but I could have done a better intro and could have actually made it more funny and less stupid. Now, today we're going to be doing more of a shift in the channel specifically. In the next couple of episodes, we're going to be just covering the Most Corrupt Politicians 2 video part 2, but then we're going to end it off there, and we're going to switch away from kind of the politics of the channel, and we're going to kind of go to, well, something more historical. Now, I watched The Arbitrary Historian, and, well, he's got 1 million subscribers, so I thought we really should be changing in a pattern, and I finally decided what I wanted to do kind of on this channel primarily, and that's history. A little bit of my own personal opinion with 20% politics. So let's get on the video and not bore you anymore. So we're going to be doing an alternative history video, and this all lies on the theory of the Alaskan Purchase from Russia. Now, the Alaskan Purchase is very interesting because there's a bunch of history goes in that, and we'll explain that. And then we'll explain what happened if maybe Russia hadn't sold Alaska. And we'll explain why they did sold Alaska in our timeline. So this video will be the standard time split video, as you see here. Here's the original timeline in the middle, and then the timeline separates off into the theorized timeline. Okay, so let's get to it. So now, you see, sometime after the Baltic War, which really had nothing to do with the country as we know it, Balkans now, but the Baltic War was between Turkey, I believe, France, and Britain to conquer Russia, and, well, not conquer, but try to get a little, well, skim on them. Try to kind of get them down a bit and then take some territory. Now, the huge problem was that Russia had a breakthrough in their ideology, that they could not stand up to down here any naval force whatsoever. The Russian naval force was highly underdeveloped, which is very concerning because in that time it was the colonization time, it was the end of colonization time, where ships were the most important to have, and if you didn't have ships or anything, it would be dead, gone, dead. So it's very important to keep a good naval fleet up, but they didn't. So they came to the realization of, well, we need to probably sell Alaska. There's only 3,000 people in it, and now since we marked up the price of the fur trapping company, Alaska's about ready to crumble. Because previously they had this dude up here, I forget his name, but I will voice act it in now. Alexander Bardinov. Okay, and that's his name. Sorry that I couldn't remember it, but that's the magic of editing. And he made the company flourish. Flourish. And the problem is, he got sick and died. Yeah, that's not too good. So, well, getting sick and dying was horrible for the company because Russia found the opportunity to claim the company and jack the prices up and then basically kill the entire fur population by taking the price down, and they overhunted, making basically Alaska pretty desolate on the wildlife population, specifically in the most prized coats, otters, which is very problematic. Now, excuse me, I have to attend to something, and we'll get back to the history in a short moment. Now, okay, sorry about that, folks. Small camera glitch, but it's all fixed out now. And furthermore, there's a small fact that you need to know, not very important to the alternate timeline story, but Russia kind of wanted to settle in California, but it didn't work out. The colony was dry, and as you know, if it gets below 20 below zero, Russians burn up in flames. So they really couldn't set up in California. They tried to, but it just didn't work out. I might be doing another video on that. Please request in the comments if you want me to do an alternate timeline video on that. Now, anyways, so let's go to World War I. Well, the beginning of the end of World War I. Really, 1917, October, and, well, let's kind of explore what would happen if they did not assault Alaska. Now, just about 10 feet from where the Russian miners were digging, the American miners went down there and just about 10 feet down found a bunch of gold and oil. So, like I said, let's go to 1917 and let's figure out what happened if Russia had all that oil. Where did the Russian Revolution ever happen? Well, most likely it still would, specifically because Rasputin was a monster, and the Tsars, no matter what, will hold their gold, even if their people are starving, they're losing a war desperately, and spraying mustard gas on their own guys. Accidentally. So, yeah, it'll most likely still happen. But this video is not most likely. This video is if what? Now, you see, if Russia never really had the Russian Revolution, we might see some whole different reality changes, such as there might be another revolution in the 30s, or the Axis might have won World War II, such as the Soviet Union was, well, similar to Mao's Great Leap Ahead, which was not really a great leap ahead. It was good for the first few years, and then stuff started to run out and people started to die. The Soviet T-34s never may have been produced, and Russia may have been a small power still, and then possibly Hitler could have won World War II. That would lead to a whole other slurry of different timelines. So if they really didn't, a Russian Revolution happen, yes, Hitler would most likely win World War II, because his biggest problem was the Eastern Front securing that, and the Soviet T-34 tanks never having enough oil. Now, another possible thing was the Russian Empire might actually be stronger than the Soviet Union in this alternate future, to where they would have enough oil, fuel, and natural resources from Alaska to very effectively may have different tanks or produce mass tanks, such as the Soviet Union did, but in a much higher amount since they had Alaska on their side. However, that means they would not have Ukraine, Poland, or a couple of other countries of the Soviet Union, so it might balance out in the end to a couple theories. So, we have the first theory of the Russian Empire being like the Soviet Union but no communism, or the Soviet Union never happening, and like I said, Germany winning World War II. So that'd be the two theories. The second one is if the Russian Revolution still happened, and what would happen then? Well, most likely the whole thing of World War II would still play out the same, and Alaska wouldn't have super strategic importance at that time, but it would still have a lot of resources. So kind of the same thing would happen, but just that the Soviet Union would be a little quicker because they had a little more oil and a lot more stuff. Its importance to the Cold War would be very different. Now, if we go to, well, the Americans would not be able, but would have a much harder time getting in inland Russia trying to get our spy planes across. Now, we couldn't cross from Alaska to in Russia secretly. It would be much harder. Fuel expenses would go up, and we could not probably even get planes into there because we had to take off probably from Canada instead of Alaska, or maybe even take off just from here, and then probably the damn near fuel would be all gone by the time you get to Russia. So it would cause many more spy plane accidents, and possibly the Soviet Union could win the Cold War, such as in 1991 their economy was pretty much collapsing in 1989. with the war of Afghanistan, such as they didn't have enough oil or gold or resources to even keep up anymore, and they started to, well, collapse. Now, we might see the Soviet Union still collapse, and maybe a huge slurry of problems, but we might see them not collapse, which would be more likely if they had Alaska, because they would have much more sufficient oil, gold resources, and possibly area for higher expansion, and a super strategic place, because I believe, I forget his name, and I don't even know how to look up the guy, but he was an Air Force general who said that Alaska was the most important strategic area of the Cold War, because it was right between China, Russia, and America, where it would be a perfect place to put your nukes or troops. And, well, if Russia had Alaska at that time, holy hell, yes, they would have a mega chance compared to what they had of winning the Cold War. Now, if we go on, let's say the Soviet Union did collapse, well, we would probably see Alaska splitting up from the Russian Union, and we'd probably see them disappearing and maybe even turning into its own country. Like, well, Ukraine, Czechoslovakia, and then remember I forget the country's name, that's Belarus. There was 10 countries in Belarus, and there's almost 10 to 5 countries in the Balkans, and these different little countries have 10, 20 countries inside of them, which all split up. So you have double revolution. And you might see that in Alaska. You might see 10 different countries in Alaska. So this timeline is very altered, as you can obviously see. Seeing that Alaska may split up into these little parts and little weird Slavic countries. So that just about does it for this video. We'll have a video coming out on the last 2 videos of our Most Corrupt Politician series coming out later today, and we'll have, I believe, a video on what if Russia had California pretty soon. Please leave a comment, give this video a like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell because YouTube is a bastard, and like always, this is Desert Fox signing off.